Good evening. Coming to you live and direct from my new home in my new office. But I'm going to give you the same quality information tonight. You're listening to Chappy. This is Chap's Fantasy Chat. I come to you on Tuesday nights on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network. I'm really excited to be here tonight. I really think that I have some... when we sit down and we think about it, we've gone through all of these different categories and we've done it in a number of different ways, right? We've gone through lumping guys together by position. We've gone through lumping guys together by stats leaders. So tonight we're going to wrap it up. We're going to talk about speed and we're going to talk about runs. And I'm going to pose this argument to you that these are the two most important categories to study up on. Because the difference between getting a stolen base guy that carries a 280 average and getting a stolen base guy that carries a 200 average is monumental. We're going to break this down tonight, specifically looking at stolen bases and runs. And we're going to see, as we have been, where we can take advantage when we're drafting, when we're looking at our ADPs. So, tonight will be the last episode doing this in this manner. Next week, we're about three weeks out from baseball, so we'll start putting together our final lists. We'll start prioritizing guys holistically versus others. But tonight's the last night that we're going to sit there and go down through stat leaders from last year. And you've heard me say this before. It's important to know this because, especially tonight, because tonight, here's the thing. Speed don't slump, right? I know that's not good English. I know that. But, I say it in jest, but in all seriousness, when a guy has good legs and he gets on base, his ability to steal doesn't vary, okay? So a lot of these guys, this is the one category where I don't look at age as too big of a determining factor, okay? So it's really important when you look at these guys, we're talking about opportunity, we're talking about history, have they done it before? And we're going to break these guys down, right? Because some of these guys aren't put... It's not the same player from player A to player B. And I'll show you some examples here in a little bit, okay? So, first off, I want to take a second. If you're listening to me and you're not on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports page, you need to get there right now. It's really simple to do. You simply just go to LennyMelnickFantasySports.com. Username and password. Remember me. It automatically signs you in. It is a great benefit having really experienced podcasters. I have two of the best in the business. I have Lenny and Andrea in there with me right now. I appreciate you guys. I hope you're having fun down in Tampa. But it really is beneficial to go in there. This is meant to be interactive. So please go and sign in. I see you have guest Veronica, guest Bertha. Both signed in. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. Ask questions, if you will, as we go through these. So let me jump into this content. And while I have a few people in here, I want to ask you guys a question. How many Major League Baseball players had 30 stolen bases last year? Because when we're doing this, we're really trying to set the bar, right? We're trying to figure out what the target is, okay? And some of it's subjective, but the potential for these guys to hit that bar, okay? So I like to set the bar high. How many Major League ball players had 30 stolen bases last year? Guesses. Bueller. So let me start talking about these guys. And what I've done tonight is I've lumped them in to 3 different categories. And we're not going to talk about all of them. But we are going to talk about the ones that I think are of value, just like we have in the past. 3. Now, 3 players had 40 stolen bases last year. Guess Bertho. But 30 stolen bases is what I was looking for. So, what am I talking about? When we get into these players and we toggle down on each specific category, because that's what really counts, right? That's what really matters. Stolen bases, home runs, RBIs, and however you want to break it down, batting average, OBP, hits, total bases, whatever. But the big 4 in every league, so you can prepare for this across the board: homers, stolen bases, runs, and RBIs. Stolen bases is the least variable of those 4 categories. Because like I said, guys get on base, they steal when you're fast. That's how it goes. So, let's talk about these guys. Any more guesses? How many 30 stolen base players were there last year? I'll give it one more chance. I'll give it to you after I get... The leader last year in stolen bases, Malik Smith. I talk about him, of course, he's first on this list, but I see him being undervalued here. I know that sounds crazy. He hit 227 last year. He had 6 homers, 70 runs, 37 RBIs, 46 stolen bases, which was his career high, by the way. But here's the thing about Smith. He's been fairly consistent with his legs. He's had 86 stolen bases in his last 2 years, 118 in his 4-year career. So he's averaged around 40 stolen bases the last 2 years. 8 is the answer, guys. Thank you for jumping in. 8 guys had 30 stolen bases. That's not a lot. But if you're looking at this and you're breaking it down per ADP, you really can take advantage of some of these players. And this is one of them. You have the lead leader in steals. Yes, he hit 227. But he's a career 259 hitter. And that includes the crappy 227 average from last year. Maybe last year was an anomaly. 37 RBI, I said it, Lenny. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But here's the thing. The 227 is the problem for me. Not the 37 RBIs. The 227 is the problem. If he can return to form, he hit 297 2 years ago. 296, excuse me. I don't need him to return to 296. I need him to get back up to 250. I know you're not a one-trick pony if you're hitting 250 plus in my book. You got runs. 2 years ago, he had 65 runs and 40 stolen bases. The RBI spot, yes, but you're going to build that in other places. My problem from last year, and I think a lot of people's problem from last year with Malik Smith, was the 227. Yes, the RBIs was an issue. But again, it's easy to do. We're all missing the point. 161 ADP. So if you go out in the early rounds and you bolster the RBI position, that 46 stolen bases can really take off, right? So you're not talking about a big sacrifice. A lot of these guys in this category, in this first tier, 30 plus guys, are high ADP values. Malik's isn't. That's the point, Lenny. That's the point. And again, it's repeatable. 86 in the last 2 years. He had 40 the year before that. And he's still young, right? Yeah. Andrew's right. Adalberto Mondesi, number 2. ADP is 43.3. I'm not a mathematician. That's around a 4th round pick. Here's the thing about Mondesi. 263 last year, 9 homers, 58 runs was a career high, 62 ribs was a career high, and 43 stolen bases, also a career high. He's 24 years old. I'm saying at 24, if you can get a full year out of Mondesi, he can steal 60 bases for you. But that's a big if for me. So it really is interesting that people will jump out and spend a 4th round pick on Mondesi, but then they want to play close to the vest when it comes to, well, we're looking at a 15th round pick on Malik Smith. Hey, Dave, welcome. You usually boot stolen bases, he says. I mean, it really just depends, though. It depends on what you get early. If you fall into a slot where you can get Acuna or Yelich or Dice, or Trey Turner or one of these guys early, it really doesn't make much sense to not supplant that with more speed. If you end up with a power guy early, I understand that. But I'm coming from, I want a well-rounded team. I want to get some of these stolen base guys. I'm not talking about spending a whole lot early, but I think some of these middle round guys you can really take advantage of, okay? So let's get back to Mondesi. People forget he got hurt last year. He was really having a breakout year. And I think he separated his shoulder when he was sliding into the bag. So, and then he tried to come back and it re-aggravated it. But in 82 games, prior to his injury, I know people don't like this, but I think it's an indicator, right? It shows what he's capable of. 82 games just happens to be the halfway point in the season. He was on pace for 95 runs and 103 RBIs and 62 stolen bases. So those numbers, that's a 1st round pick. If healthy. I know it's a big if. You got to tell this kid to slide feet first or something. I don't know. Thank you for the reminder, Kyle. Johnny Drum. It's a spurn of George Dickel. It is really good. I had it for last show. And I'm really enjoying it. It's a little stronger, 50.5% alcohol, but it's quite tasty. So I'm on glass number 2. I'll probably stay there because it's a little potent, but yummy. So Mondesi's really one of those guys that if you're wanting to catch lightning in a bottle, might be worth a 4th round pick. I think he'll probably go higher than that if he stays healthy throughout spring training. Talk about Jonathan VR later. Talk about him in the runs. He stole in the runs category. He had 40 stolen bases last year, a 274 batting average. His ADP is 51.3. I think this is a good